Hello class, for Module 3, we'll be going over networking interfaces, the files associated to it, DHCP, and DNS. So in Linux, similar to other operating systems, you can edit your network interface card settings, such as your IP address, your net mask, your gateway, your DNS settings, and you can do this with multiple commands, such as ifconfig, IP, or netstat, and you can use all of those to view your commands also. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So after we're logged into our system, we could use the command ifconfig to view all of our IP information. So ifconfig and IP are similar to each other, and IP is meant to replace ifconfig. So to view information with IP, you'll want to do IP A. And you'll see that we'll have similar information between both of these commands. So with IP, you'll see that we have our LO network, our low network, which stands for loopback interface, which is a virtual interface that the system uses to talk to itself. And then we have an ENS192 network, which is our actual Ethernet interface connection. And always whenever you're looking at your IP address information or your network information with IP, you always want to make sure that you have up in the first line to know that the connection is actually working. For example, where it says LO loopback up, that means it is running. And then you can see the same information with the netstat command. So if we run netstat -ia, we'll see it's similar to the ifconfig command that we ran earlier. So there are multiple ways that we can edit our network interface file or our network information. And we can use any one of those commands that we just looked at, or we could edit the interface file directly, which is probably the easiest way to do it. And after you make all these changes, you have to restart your networking service. So let's give our system a static IP address by editing the networking interfaces file, which is located in the etc network directory. We'll do sudo vim etc networking interfaces. And we'll click enter. We'll enter in our password. So in our interfaces file, you see that we have both our loopback network already set up and our regular Ethernet connection already set up. And we're going to want to give us a static IP address since this is our server. So let's go ahead and go into insert mode. Change our Ethernet connection from DHCP or auto to static. And then we'll want to give it a static IP address. And we can do that by doing address and picking an IP address within the correct range. Then we could give it our subnet. And then we can enter our gateway. And then you'll see that we have our DNS name servers already entered in here, which are the UNM default ones. And that's all we need to set our static IP address. So let's go ahead and save the file. And then exit. So now that we've edited the interfaces file and set a static IP address, we'll need to restart the networking service. And to do that, you could either reboot the system or run the command to restart the network service. And we'll go ahead and just do that with sudo /etc/init.d/networking restart. And we'll push enter. And we'll get a green OK as soon as the network has restarted. So let's go ahead and run our IPA command and see if the changes took place. And you see the changes have applied that we have set for our static IP address. You'll see our 192.168.0.10/24, CIDR 24. And this is how you know all of our settings were applied correctly. Other important network interface files you need to know of are the etc host file and the etc hostname file. So the host file is where all DNS requests used to take place and where the system used to start all of its name resolution lookups. And this file exists on all systems, all Ubuntu systems, all Linux systems. But with this file, once you have DNS installed, it'll still look here, but it'll also look at DNS settings itself. Then we have our hostname file. So our hostname file is where our hostname or computer name exists. And you can display this host information with the hostname ctl command. And you can set the hostname with the set hostname command. And you pretty much have 3 types of hostnames you can edit. We have static, pretty, and transient. So let's take a look at those right now. So let's just go ahead and look at our etc host file. And you'll see in here that we have our localhost 127.0.0.1 and Ubuntu server, which is our computer name. And those are there by default for every system, since 127.0.0.1 is your local host address. So let's go ahead and look at our hostname information with the command host name ctl. And with this command, you'll see that we're given all the information about our system itself. We have our static host name, Ubuntu-server. We have our icon name, computer-VM, which is our pretty name, our descriptive name. We have the chassis listed so that we know it's a VM. We have our operating system version and the kernel version and the architecture that our system is running on. So let's go ahead and set the descriptive name for our computer with that command we just looked at. So we have host name ctl set-host name, and then we'll add the argument pretty, and then we'll give it a name. My Ubuntu system. Then we'll push enter. So it asks us for our name, our user password. And we'll see that it finished. So let's go ahead and run the command again to view our host name. And we'll see that our icon name, or our pretty name, has now changed to what we just entered it in as. And you could do this for either of the names. But for now, we're just going to leave our static host name the same as is. And that's pretty much the basics for the networking interface files that you need to know about for class. So we'll go ahead and keep going, and we'll talk about DHCP and Linux.